Hi! In today's video, I won't show you the process of creating something special. In fact, I will tell you about a unique possibility that all of you have to turn your creative ideas into action and even make money on drawing. So let's talk about laser cutting. Perhaps many of you saw such wooden pre-made bases in stores. You can color, decoupage them, pour resin, maybe sculpt something and do whatever you like with them, because the limits are set only by your imagination. You may buy such bases or order your own design bases, and it's not that difficult and unreachable as it seems at first sight. I've been wearing such earrings for a very long time. Many of you asked me whether I'd made them by myself. Well, no, I simply bought them, and unfortunately one of them broke and one tiny detail was lost and I can't fix it. But now many of you told me that you like these wooden butterflies, but they're just wooden bases with earring findings cut by a laser. And yeah, I bought them as well. Speaking about AliExpress, I found there are such bases for earrings. They're quite thick and that's why I didn't really eventually like them. They look too massive. But it's possible to embroider on them. But most of the time I used them not to their initial purpose, but they performed their new role quite well anyway. So yeah, you can design the layout of your base on which you will embroider later. It can be anything, not only earrings, but a necklace, an element on a bag or a notebook. To make it short, you can make lots of things, and with each passing minute of this video, you'll become more and more convinced of it. I'm not good at drawing, so for this video I took several pictures from the internet. But in case you like making sketches, doodles, Zentangle, in a nutshell, if you're good at drawing, you can turn your art into wooden pre-made bases, pins, brooches, and so on. What you need to do is to send your vector layout to a workshop. Next, masters will cut everything out with a laser. To be precise, if you have any engraving, it goes first. This is a really slow process, because the bracket goes from corner to corner, no matter if there is engraving or not. So it goes back and forth, a millimeter after a millimeter, engraving your picture. It is fun to watch when it is in fast motion, but in real life it was a long process. When your engraving is done, here comes the cutting. It is done with the same laser as before, but in a stronger mode. At first, it could only leave the pattern, but now it is so hot that it cuts the plywood. I made such circles with mountains, my pseudonym, so I could put it as an element of a background, such plants in pots, tiny cupcakes, which I'm going to turn into stud earrings or rings, and a huge cupcake for decor, but I haven't decided yet a decor of what it will be. Yeah, the size can be different and you choose it by yourself. After cutting, there might be this burnt outline left. You can leave it so your badge will look more natural, or use a sander with fine grit to remove it. I used a 2000 grit. But I also decided to try a 600 grit, and it was also good as well. Well, and the buffers for manicure were also good at this. The difference is that a finer grit removes a thinner layer, so there are less chances that you will remove too much of resin together with your engraving. Whether you want to leave this effect or not, I advise you to sand your artwork anyway. It will make it much smoother. Have a look how smooth the monstera is on the right and how rough it is on the left. And this roughness might become more noticeable when you will paint your artwork. You can cover your wooden figures with matte or glossy varnish and attach some findings. And if there is your pattern on it, it will be already really stylish. You can use some wood stain and even attach some moss on it. Why not? To secure everything, I covered it with UV resin. I made two variants, and the second one I like much more than the first one. Also, you might take pearl paints or mix a pigment with glue together. Or take watercolors. They will give colors of a concrete shade. The colors won't be intense, although it might depend on the watercolors you use. But most of all, I prefer to use fine writers. They will make your drawing really bright. Usually, lots of different kinds of paints start to drain into the grain of the wood. But here, all the elements are separated by the engraved contour, so the paint does not leak where it mustn't leak. You can leave it as it is or make a coat of varnish. You can use such wooden figures as bases for resin casting. For example, you're making your own collection or you want to create something super special for yourself. Although I can tell from my experience that it's much easier to order such wooden things than trying to make silicone molds by yourself. Although it depends on your art ideas. You might also pay attention to the wooden bases which are sold in your local art store. And if its shape is simple, in this case I mean a round shape, it will be super easy to cast such a base with resin. And if your wooden shape has angles or some inner elements, it will be more complicated. So there are two options. The first one is to use UV resin. You can dry it right away and nothing leaks and spreads anywhere. If you have epoxy resin, you must know your resin really well. I mean, how fast it becomes thick and what's its consistency in different periods of time. So it's not the right artwork you can make to start working with your epoxy resin. You must already know it well enough before taking wooden figures which have such complex shapes. Because if the shape is round or oval, the resin won't uncontrollably spread over it. And as I've said already, resin is a liquid. So, due to its thickness, due to its physical and chemical properties, I think, it will do anything to reach its essential shape, which is round shape. And if you take, for instance, a square or a triangle, the resin from the corners will concentrate in the center, making a kind of a lens, and the angles will be covered with a really thin layer of resin, and it won't look nice at all. It might be fixed if you add some resin to the corners, but usually it leads to accidental leaking because there is too much resin on it, even if you poured thick resin. But I found a solution to this problem. I do the following. I fix the wooden figure using some tape, the usual one, no masking tape here. Maybe it will work with the masking tape, but I haven't tried it yet. I attach it to the sticky side of the tape and pour resin as usual. If nothing leaked, perfect, but the chances are low. But if something leaked away, even a tiny drop, it means that when the resin will become really thick, I will carefully peel the tape off the wooden piece, and the rest of the resin will remain on the tape. It's a must to do these things in gloves, because there is a huge risk of getting your hands dirty. To get the idea how thick your resin is, poke it in the place where it has leaked. If the resin stretches like melted cheese when you poke it, for example with a toothpick, by the way, don't use a silicone tool because it won't stick to it, it means that you can peel the tape off. If your resin rested on your artwork, like in my case, it means that you can simply make it come off with a toothpick or a silicone tool. It will easily come off, because the surface of adjustment between the drop and the artwork is quite thin, so it will easily come off. When the resin will be completely hard, you can cut the rest of the leaked remnants with a knife or sand it from the backside. There is one more important moment you should know. Yeah, it's quite a broad subject, and this is the reason why I didn't post this video from October. I planned to make this video in October because this video is also about autumn decor. There is air in plywood, and if you simply cover your wooden bases with resin, after a while some air bubbles might come out. The resin will soak into the wood and the air will come out. You can avoid this by covering your wooden bases with paint, like in this case with the hearts. As you can see, there is no single bubble here. If you want to keep the color of wood as it is and you want to show that it is wood and there is some texture on it, you need to make some manipulations before pouring resin. From my experience, I can tell that wood stain won't save you from the bubbles. If you have no engraving on your base, you can make a thin layer of resin on it. The base will absorb the resin, and after that you can decorate it. If there is an engraving, there is a chance that it will turn pink, like in my case. But don't forget that you can turn it into your favor. For instance, you want a pink outline. You can protect your base with varnish, but there are tons of different varnishes and I can't check them all out, so whatever varnish you take, make sure it works and protects, how many coats you need to apply, and only after that cast the whole batch you have. In fact, such bubbles are noticeable only after a close and thorough examination. And if a person doesn't know about all these bubbles, this person probably won't even notice them. But I know that perhaps many of you, like me, can't stand such result even with one tiny bubble. That's why I warn you about it. Such figures concerning everything I've said so far can also become panels for resin art, because resin art is not only about making pictures on large canvases or boards. You can make a brooch of it, an accessory for a bag or a keychain, a hairpin, in other words, anything. Well, and as a result, I think that you got the idea right if I say that using such wooden figures, you can make anything you want and decorate them anyhow you want. In case you make anything following such technique, post your artwork on Instagram and make sure you tagged me. I am always curious to see your creations from my videos. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. Many thanks to my sponsors for support, and I love you this much. Bye.